The New York Mets and St. Louis Cardinals renew their rivalry tonight at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. It's not just tonight, but all week long. It's rivalry week here in the Gateway City. He's considered one of the most exciting players in all of Major League Baseball. And Jose Reyes sets the tone for the Metropolitans. The Cards, of course, are led by the game's best slugger in Albert Pujols. It's Ludwig, Delgado, Green, and Wright. Todd Wellemeyer gets the ball for St. Louis. The lefty, Oliver Perez for the Mets. You ready for Rivalry Week? It starts next on Fox Sports Midwest. Downtown St. Louis, and tonight begins a 6-game homestand for the St. Louis Cardinals. First up, the New York Mets. They are 6-6. The Cardinals off to a fine start at 8-5. Before first pitch, here's what we have for you. Al, on the rivalries this week. Who can keep up the pace? That means hitting 300 or better. A pitching breakdown between the starters and Clubhouse Confidential with Cal Eldred. You just saw him on the pregame show. That's Al Rabosky. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to the broadcast booth. Al, you are such a competitive guy, a fiery competitor. How about this? You have to love it. If you're a player, you got the Mets coming in, and then the hated Cubs. So what's it like these next 6 games?
And then after that, Atlanta.
Right.
I think you got to get up for these games
that
just
means,
because.
By the way, your former team. I should have mentioned that. You're right, Al. Go ahead.
I think you got to get up for these because they are some of the better teams in the league. So you're going to have a chance to see how you match up against them.
Well, we're looking forward to this one. The Mets, their lone visit to St. Louis. When we come back, this may surprise you. 5 Cardinals hitting 300 or better. Not one named Pujols. Are you kidding me? Back with more in a moment. So far, so good with this offense for Tony La Russa. With a minimum of 10 at-bats in this early season, the Cardinals have 5 players hitting above the 300 mark. One of those is catcher Yadier Molina. Maybe a surprise for some, Al, Joe Thurston.
Joe Thurston swinging the bat well. He's got 4 doubles already, and he's in the lineup tonight.
Let's go to left field. He's in the lineup tonight. Healthy, Chris Duncan.
He's got a hit in every game he's played in, and the power is back.
So Duncan in left. How about in right field? The Cardinals, Ryan Ludwig, an all-star from a year ago.
21-game hitting streak dating back to last season, and he is swinging the bat well.
Another surprise for many, Brian Barton. What a great road trip he's coming off of.
Tremendous road trip, including his first 3 Major League home runs. He's been a pleasant surprise, and David Fried has suffered because of that.
By the way, you're probably wondering about Albert Pujols. Didn't quite make the cut. He's only at 298, but you know that's going to change soon enough. So, Al, when you look at the offense, that's been very good. How about the pitching for the Cardinals?
Well, the starting pitching has been okay, and I think it will improve, but we've got to work on the bullpen right now. If you would have said we were going to be 8-5, everyone would take that record. But when we say you've lost 4 games late and your bullpen has 4 losses and 4 blown saves, that's something we hoped we could avoid.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about the starter tonight. That's Todd Wellemeyer for the St. Louis Cardinals. Oliver Perez for the Mets. Back with more on Fox Sports Midwest. Baseball around the corner. It's the Cardinals and the Mets. A look at Forest Park in St. Louis. Clubhouse Confidential, one of the newest segments we have here on Fox Sports Midwest. Let's bring in Cal Eldred, the former Cardinal. Cal, a couple of things to lead things off. How about number 1, 2 days off because of the rainout and a trade? How does that affect the clubhouse?
Well, I think first of all, these guys have been sitting around for a couple days. They just want to play baseball. I know it took them forever to get out of Chicago on Sunday night. They're ready to play baseball. Plus, now you're in a situation where, hey, you got a trade. It makes it look like the team's doing something to make them better.
And when you look at Tony La Russa's lineup, what stands out for you?
Well, I think 2 things. I think number 1, the fact that Brendan Ryan's back at the top of the lineup. He's trying to make things happen, and he has already this year, so do it again. And the second thing is you got Yadier Molina backing up Ludwig and Pujols. He's been great with 2 out hits this year, and that's outstanding.
Cal, thank you very much. We'll be doing this all season long. Clubhouse Confidential. When we come back, it's our first pitch. The Mets and the Cardinals from Busch Stadium. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light. With just the right taste, it never fills you up. The difference is drinkability. By Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. And by Auto Tire. For the lowest prices in town, choose Auto Tire. We shop the competitors so you don't have to. Dan and Al with you on a beautiful night here in St. Louis. A bit chilly, but we begin a homestand here this evening. Jerry Manuel and the Mets make their way to St. Louis. He's got the hood ready to go on a cool night here in the Gateway City. Jose Reyes and Daniel Murphy and David Wright here in the first. Reyes against the Cardinals. 4 home runs, 17 RBIs in just 33 games. Carlos Delgado in the middle of this lineup with Carlos Beltran, Ryan Church, Ramon Castro, Luis Castillo, the former Marlin, and Oliver Perez, the pitcher, batting ninth. And there's a look at Tony La Russa, who will send Todd Wellemeyer to the mound tonight. And a little shift in this starting rotation for the Cardinals. Marshall Wireless starter is Todd Wellemeyer, and this will be his 3rd start of the season. A record of 1-1. We talked about it a little bit during the open, Al, the fact that he has changed up his delivery towards the plate.
Well, in game 1 of the season, and it was a horrific start for him. He allowed 12 hits and really got roughed up. He was using his hands above the head in the windup.
And Reyes shoots one to right center field, and Keel is on the move. He's got it in center. 1 up, 1 down.
And after that, they got him to, keep his hands below his shoulders like he did all last season. He likes it the other way, but he's more efficient with a shorter, more compact delivery.
The Mets come in a record of 6-6. And the Cardinals are 8-5. This is their left fielder, Daniel Murphy. Can also play second base, and that pitch is taken up and away. Murphy off to a good start, hitting .319, 1 home run, and 4 RBIs. Murphy played in 49 games last year for the Mets and hit .313, had a good spring. As recently as 2007, he was an A-ball. So he's made a quick progression through their system, and he shoots 1 foul.
Nice.
The difference in starts, you see, as you talked about, that real rough start that he had on the 8th, 12 hits, 5 earned runs, and then last time against Arizona, much different looking pitcher.
Yeah, the opponent's batting average at .380 is gaudy, but that will continue to go down.
Much of that done because of the first start.
12 hits he allowed in 5 innings. But the one positive thing about that, innings 4 and 5 were much better than the first 3.
3-1 is taken outside and high, so it's a 1-out walk for their left fielder, and it brings in David Wright. A look at the Cardinals defense tonight. Duncan and Keel and Ludwig in the outfield. On the infield, Thurston at third, Green, Ryan, and Pujols along the infield. Wellemeyer and Molina, the battery tonight. The Auto Tire defense for the St. Louis Cardinals. So Joe Thurston gets the start at third base, Al. A lot of people saying, well, why not Brian Barton? And where's David Freese? Well, Freese has been sent back down because of the trade.
Blaine Boyer is to the Cardinals from Atlanta. And the Brian Barton trade.
B-A-R-T-O-N.
Yeah.
Get it right,
So
right?
we won't be confused anymore. Now, Brian Barton is now a member of the Atlanta Braves AAA franchise.
That's right.
And Barton, who's been the very hot-hitting right-handed third baseman, is not starting this game.
There's David Wright. Go behind. They got him. Yes!
And
Caught
another
him at
one.
first.
Gotti is so good at that, and it's hard to believe that it is a rookie straying a little bit too far out there, but he gets nailed. There's almost a timing play between Albert and Yadier Molina, and he gets another one.
Injury to insult. You get it right on the face, too, right on the side of the head with the tag from Albert Pujols. That's tapped foul. That is such a timing play between Yadier Molina and Albert Pujols, between the two. And it's not an easy thing to do. You have to play together for years, and both those guys will tell you that. And they'll both tell you there's really not a signal between the two. It's just kind of a feel between each other that they know to throw down to first.
But you can see Yadi before pitches are made. He's looking at Pujols. Pujols is receptive to it. He knows what he's thinking, and that guy gets too big of a lead, he gets nailed.
Check swing on David Wright. Outstanding player, already a 3-time All-Star. Last year, career highs in home runs, RBIs, and runs scored. He had 33 home runs, 124 RBIs.
Poster boy of the Mets.
Sure is. It's taken outside. Go back to why Thurston tonight and not Barden.
Well, you know, it's Thurston back in 01, in case you have a long memory, had 4 hits off of Perez.
May have been a broken bat. Backhanded by Green. Long throw to first. Not in time. Infield hit for David Wright. So what is he, 4 for 4?
He was 4 for 4, but that was back in 01. And also because, you know, you kind of have, as we look at Khalil Green throwing from the outfield, and David Wright always hustling, beats out the infield single, but Khalil would have gotten a lot lesser of a base runner. His arm strength, getting up in the air, trying to get something behind the throw.
The big shift is on here for Delgado.
And you know, with a short bench, carrying an extra pitcher, you like to have a couple right-handed bats for later on in the game in case they go to some of their lefties in the pen.
Carlos Delgado got off to a very slow start a season ago and then finished up strong.
No better this year, though. Batting over 300. And how about now, Delgado and Sheffield, 500 home run teammates.
Delgado is 4 for 7 against Todd Wellemeyer. This is popped up left side and out of play. A couple of doubles for Delgado. As far as Puerto Rican born players, he leads in home runs and RBIs. Just a tremendous career.
He's closing in on Willie Stargell and Stan Musial in the home run department.
For Sheffield, just picked up number 500. They pitch him inside.
And it's the first time that a member of the 500 home run club, and he's now the 25th, that reaches that plateau with a pinch hit home run.
Think about Delgado. 10 seasons with 30 or more home runs and 30 or more doubles.
Consistency.
That's right. That includes last year. Ties him with Manny Ramirez. That's past Pujols and into right. David Wright is on his way to third, and it's first and third with 2 outs. So a single for Delgado, single for Wright, and it brings in Carlos Beltran. We know all about him from back in 2004 when he was with the Astros. Let's take a look at the pitch location here.
Up over the middle of the plate a little bit. Albert catches this ball more times than not. I think he was a little surprised that didn't bounce into his glove, but Wright going from first to third, but there's 2 outs, and that's what you concentrate on.
Carlos Beltran is 1 for 8 against Wellemeyer. First pitch right down the middle, a fastball. He challenged him at 92 miles an hour.
Yeah, I misspoke about Delgado. He's at 472, but home runs, they aren't teammates. Manny Ramirez and Sheffield.
Gary Sheffield. Yep, he's at 500, and Carlos Delgado now with his 3 home runs this year. He's at 472. And now you have Carlos Beltran, the 4-time All-Star, 5th year with New York. Is it hard to believe that it's been 5 years in New York for Beltran? It seems like yesterday. He was tearing up the Cardinals in the postseason with Houston. He had 8 home runs in one postseason back in 2004 with a team that did not make it to the World Series.
Remember, he came over from Kansas City, really about a 250, 260 hitter during the regular season, and then got hot at the right time.
What contract
in
year
for walk year, and he parlayed it into a huge contract.
Over $100 million. 2 balls and 1 strike on Carlos Beltran, a terrific defender as well. Wellemeyer is just a ground ball away or a strikeout away from getting out at the top of the first. Runners at the corners. The 2-1 pitch. Ripped into right center field. It's 1-0 New York. That will roll all the way to the wall. Delgado on his way to third. He'll be held up there. So 3 consecutive base hits with 2 outs against Wellemeyer, and it's 1-0 Mets. That was ripped into right center. The second base hit for Beltran against Todd Wellemeyer.
Another pitch, belt high, out over the middle of the plate, and looked like Ankiel may have come in a little bit too much. It gets by him, goes all the way to the wall, but because Delgado speed, they didn't get an extra run out of it.
And you may be facing one of the hotter hitters in this lineup. A .477 on-base percentage here in the first couple of weeks and hitting .378 overall. And that's Ryan Church. No home runs, 2 RBIs. Runners at second and third and 2 outs. 3 hits now in the inning with 2 outs against Wellemeyer. Wellemeyer taking his time now, working slowly. First pitch on the inside corner for a strike.
A lot of the pitch has been over the middle of the plate, and I believe that 1 or 2 pitches that have been down in the zone and not given the strike call by Tim McClellan, who is in his patented way always late with his arm coming up.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Little check swing, 0-2. Tim McClellan out of Des Moines, Iowa. Big basketball fan, as I found out this past off season. And you might remember the Pine Tar incident with George Brett. That's how long Tim McClellan has been around, and he was telling me during the offseason that he and George have actually become pretty good friends over the years, despite that incident. I'd like to hear George's version.
Oh, I bet it's the same.
Here's a little line drive caught at third by Joe Thurston. The Mets will strand 2, but pick up a 2-out base hit by Beltran. 1-0. Oliver Perez finishing up his warm-up tosses here in the bottom of the first. As the Cardinals coming up for the first time tonight, look at their batting order. Ryan, Ankiel, and Pujols in the first inning for St. Louis, and then Ryan Ludwig. Last series against the Cubs, outstanding. 6 for 15, couple of homers and 7 RBIs. Molina, Duncan, Green, Thurston, and Wellemeyer. Oliver Perez, a lefty, re-signed by the Mets. And he has a record of 1-1 with an ERA that's close to 8.
He had a horrible first start, got better in his next one. And a lot of times with Perez, you just don't have the consistency. He can be very, very tough when he's on, and he can be mediocre when he's not.
Let's take a look at the defense for the Mets. Murphy in left, Beltran, 3 Gold Gloves in his career in center, and then Church right, Reyes, Castillo, Delgado along the infield, and the battery tonight, Perez and Castro. Let's see if Brendan Ryan takes a pitch. He does on the inside corner for ball 1. Brendan Ryan, the second baseman, is 1 for 2 against the lefty Perez. On the season, hitting .267, no home runs, 1 driven in. (2-0). Brendan in 12 games is 4 for 15. Game number 14 for the Cardinals here tonight, and it's 3-0. When he's right, Oliver Perez is very, very tough.
Yeah, and that's the case. You know, he throws a lot of balls up, so you don't want to chase the ball up. Saying his velocity is down a little bit right now.
And 4 straight and a leadoff walk for the Cardinals. Our Toyota Keys concerns Oliver Perez. What do you see here, Al? Last 2 starts.
Well, it's just what we were talking about. You know, the 8 earned runs in his first start, and the next time out he gives up 1 earned run in 6 innings. You know, it's just lacks the consistency, but when he's on, he can be tough, and when he's not, he could have a tough inning. He's been very tough on left-handed batters. And look at Rick, the mustache, and gone is the beard. He's trying to change his look.
Yeah, hitting just .179, no home runs, 2 RBIs. Walked the leadoff man on 4 pitches. Ankiel trying to get going, maybe thinking that Perez would groove one there on the 5th pitch and swing it away.
Well, it's a good thing he didn't swing at the one over his head. But, you know, Rick struggling a little bit, and I think part of it is, you know, he's facing so many left-handers. Every team just pulls out the left-handers against the Cardinals lineup right now.
And Al, he's pressing. There's no question about it.
Well, sure.
Watching him, he's just pressing.
You look up and you see you're batting 179. He had a tough road trip. And you just, you know, I mean, you want to see better numbers, and they will come with time.
We know he can pull the ball, and you see Delgado holding it first with the runner Ryan there. So bigger gap towards that right side on the infield. And Keel pops it up into shallow left. Daniel Murphy coming in under it with two hands and makes the play. One away. And it brings in Pujols.
Perez historically has been very tough on the left-handed batters. But when you have 4 outfielders and 3 of them are left-handed hitters, a couple of them are going to have to play.
And Al, if you're the Mets, you look at 3 in this lineup, which is Pujols, you know that, and then 4, Ludwig. And these guys have been outstanding. You look at 9 home runs between the two and 29 RBIs in 2 weeks. That's pretty formidable.
Well, last year they were the most deadly combo in the National League. Pujols and Ludwig, both of them hit 37 home runs. Both of them had over 100 RBIs. Ludwig just missed 300 by 1 point, and Albert's always hit over 300 and won his second MVP award.
He's had great numbers against Oliver Perez. He's 10 for 26 and takes that pitch outside. He has 3 doubles, a triple against Perez, and 3 home runs. So very good numbers against this lefty. 2 balls, no strikes.
He used to wear the Pirate uniform.
That explains it. You're right. It was inside on that pitch, 2-1. The center fielder, Carlos Beltran, 3-time Gold Glove winner, very deep and straight away.
Fooled the scoreboard here is McClellan with that late strike call. They had 3-1. Now they corrected to 2-1, like you did.
He can't fool me till about the 6th. I know that's 3-1. What do you remember from the Pine Tar incident? Because you're very good friends with George Brett. Have you talked to George about it?
What's there to talk about? He just went insane.
Well, then you can relate. And Pujols gets underneath this one. A high fly ball out to left. Good pitch there by Perez. And Murphy again underneath it. And there's 2 away. Let's take it back. Kansas City and the Yankees with what would be a normal home run at the old Yankee Stadium. Well, how are they going to measure the Pine Tar?
Yeah, now that's it. That's a situation where Billy Martin knew about that bat was illegal, but you wait for a home run, and then he does a good job of acting like a Hungarian.
Here's Ryan Ludwig out to left center field and playing deep. Beltran, he's there in front of the track and makes the catch. Cardinal strand Brendan Ryan at first. We played an inning. George Brett going crazy on Tim McClellan. 1-0 after 1. Cardinals trail by a run, and if you're traveling and can't catch the Cardinals TV broadcast, catch all the action on your computer at MLB.tv. Catch over 100 live out-of-market games per week. For complete details, visit STLCardinals.com, where baseball is always on. First pitch popped up by the catcher Castro. 7, 8, and 9 for the Mets. As Todd Wellemeyer got the first 2. In the first inning, it was a fly out by Reyes. Then Daniel Murphy reached with a walk. He was picked up by Molina at first. And then 3 consecutive base hits. The Mets have taken a 1-0 lead. What's going through his mind right now? That's Dave Duncan watching intently. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, the one thing that Dave knows, and that his pitchers, starting pitchers, have to be a little more efficient. Part of the bullpen problems is the fact that the starters are not going deep enough into games, overexposing the pin.
Here's a ground ball, and that's pulled foul. Let's take a look at the Exmo Cam, brought to you by Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill, with a location 1 block away from the ballpark here on Broadway. And here it is. Look at the torque on the elbow of the curveball there from Todd Wellemeyer.
Curveball pulling down a lampshade.
Here's a ground ball. Khalil Green backhands, gets up. The pick by Albert. Out at first. Nicely done, both ends.
Albert got stepped on a little bit as Castro come down the line. Tripped over his back leg.
Let's go back to the Hot Shots Exmo Cam.
This time Khalil Green slides to stop his momentum, gets up, and he's got the catcher running so he can take a little more time. He comes over the top, but he bounces it up there. And Albert with a good pick, and then you see his right leg gets tangled up with Castro come down the line. Snyder, by the way, their #1 catcher, is on the disabled list with a strained back. And congratulations to the Snyder. They had the birth of their second child. A little baby boy was born yesterday in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Kalen Duncan Schneider. Pitches to the backstop. 1 ball, 1 strike. This is Luis Castillo, switch hitter, second baseman. Great speed, off to a good start, hitting .389 with 4 RBIs. He's in the 8th spot in the lineup now for the New York Mets. A lot of times you'll see Reyes and then Castillo in years past, but not now.
Yeah, kind of a double leadoff man, and this guy has been outstanding. When he's healthy, he's a real threat to run.
And he pulls it past Pujols, and watch him run. Steps on the bag at first, on his way to second, and he's digging for 3. The throw is cut off by Green, and he can fly. It's a triple for Castillo.
He's hit over 500 in his last 6 games, including tonight.
And Pujols was near the bag here at first base.
He just hooks it. You know, he just kind of a slap hitter, down and in, dropped the bat head. It went off that side advertisement in right field, and he decided to go to third. See where Albert is, how he off the line, really didn't have a shot at it, and then it's going to curve into foul territory, went off the side wall, and Ludwig had to come all the way in to retrieve it, allowing for the triple.
Perez, for his career, a .150 hitter with 14 RBIs. Against St. Louis, above 200. And this season, no sacrifices and 3 strikeouts. You see why Perez, who's standing at third base back in 2002, had a 35-game hitting streak. You can get that deep if you have speed, infield hits.
I don't think he's running as well now as he did back then, but he's still a threat.
1-0 the count with 1 out. Thurston is in at third. Pujols even with the bag at first. Now the infield charging in. Outfield very shallow. Perez is showing bunt, and then time is called.
37 sacrifices in his career. But a lot of times, you know, you're not going to drop that bunt down when the infield's playing in, and being a left-handed batter, they can pitch out and nail that runner.
1-0 pitch. Inside, 2 balls, no strikes. Still have to throw strikes, though.
Absolutely.
Pitch count already at 35 for Todd Wellemeyer. We're only in the 2nd inning. 1-0 Mets, and the RBI by Beltran. And that's low. This crowd a little bit restless now. 3-0. This is where you ask for trouble.
And Dave didn't want anybody to read his lips.
Spun around, no camera caught him. The 3-0 pitch. A little bit low. And he walks the pitcher on 4. Second walk by Todd Wellemeyer. And with Reyes coming up, Al, it's tough to double him up unless he hits it right on the button, right at somebody.
About the only way is going to be line drive, double play.
At great speed, he flied out to center his first time up. Ratio not what you like to see. Reyes is a 2-time All-Star and the franchise leader in steals and triples in the Mets history. A season ago, he had 297. From the leadoff spot, he had 16 home runs. He's got a little pop in that bat. 56 steals a year ago. Already with 3 this year. 2 for 9 against Todd Wellemeyer, including tonight in his career. That pitch outside, a little bit low, so
very tight zone.
The ball.
Pitches down. Tim McClellan's not giving it to him. Pitches in off the plate or away. You know, it's just a postage stamp strike zone.
Pujols holding it first. Good off-speed pitch that time by Wellemeyer. Had him out in front. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Todd has a good slider and a very good changeup. Everything is set up with the fastball.
The other thing to consider, and you see what runners in scoring position, a 292 hitter. You've got very good speed over there at third. So anything on the ground, he's coming home. The Mets, if you look at what's happening with their team and why they're 6-6, their bullpen has been great. But their starting rotation has struggled, and they have also struggled with runners in scoring position this year as a team, only hitting .236.
This is one of the better teams in the National League.
Line drive left field, that drops in for a base hit. 2-0 Mets. Reyes with the RBI. Castillo scores the 2nd run for New York.
Trying to set up inside. Ball right down the middle, and once again it's up over the middle of the plate. Not hit well, but effective.
Here's Daniel Murphy. Walked his first time up and then was picked off at first by Molina. Runners at first and second with 1 out. 2-0 Mets. Already over 40 pitches for Todd Wellemeyer, only in the 2nd inning. Popped up and out of play. That'll find the seats. Chilly night here at Busch Stadium.
Warm up every day this week. Get into the 80s and
80 degrees
this weekend.
Huh?
So.
How was your weekend, Al? We had the Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off.
I went down to Fayetteville, Arkansas, visited my mother, and on the way back, I finally stopped by Cedar Lodge, Big Cedar Lodge. The place looks awesome.
1 pitch, check swing and a strike. I know a lot of our Cardinal fans have remarked about that when we get a chance along the caravan to visit with them about their favorite places. They always tell us about Cedar Lodge.
Yeah.
Taking their families there, kid friendly.
I'm already trying to plan a trip this fall.
Really? Now we're only in April. You're working ahead. Here's a line drive left center field, and Duncan is over to make the catch. You know, one of the things you think about is the new signage around the ballpark. There's Greensfelder. That's one of the top law firms in the country, not only in St. Louis, but Greensfelder, one of the top law firms in the country, and that's their building beyond the left center field wall out there.
See, I'm a model citizen, so I wouldn't need to know where all the law firms are.
I study the buildings around here.
I know. I noticed that today. It's a brand new sign, isn't it?
Yeah.
Looks
Millennium
good.
And Greensfelder out there. Great law firm here in town. 2 outs, and that pitch is taken outside. Here's David Wright. You come down, you can see that Greensfelder sign from the highway.
By the old courthouse.
Perfectly placed.
Yeah.
David Wright, outstanding player. Represented Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. Had a game-winning hit for the American team. And Wright looks at a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
This start kind of reminds me a little bit of start number 1. As I don't know if Tim McClellan's strike zone is kind of playing with Wellemeyer's mind, but his body language could improve.
Wellemeyer seems like the kind of guy, Al, that you could probably leave out there for 500 pitches and it wouldn't matter.
No, I agree with that. Big and strong and you've got to understand that, 100 pitch barrier is something that you just throw it out the window. And in this case, even with the last 2 days off, he's going to have to go deep in this game and hopefully become more efficient.
Well, you talked about it a little bit ago. The fact is the starters have to get deeper into games and take some of the burden off the bullpen.
And, Blaine Boyer, the Cardinals' new pitcher, threw in the bullpen today, so you don't know if he's available, as Dave Duncan was trying to get, and Marty Mason trying to get a look at him, see what he features. Got a power arm, and sounds like a good reclamation project for Dave Duncan.
2-2 pitch to right with 2 on, 2 outs. And he got him. Right knew it. Fooled him with that pitch. And the first strikeout for Todd Wellemeyer. 2-0 Mets. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. By Aflac, ask about it at work. And by the Casino Queen, home of the loosest slots in the country. Dan McLaughlin, Al Raboski with you, and it's 2-0 Mets. As we move to the bottom of the second, Yadier Molina will lead it off. Tony West with that shot. He is live at Forest Park just to get that particular shot.
He's quite the romantic, isn't he?
He is. Molina, Duncan, and Green for the Cardinals. First pitch taken outside. It was a leadoff walk on 4 pitches to Brendan Ryan. And Keel then would fly to left. Pujols would fly to left. And Ludwig would fly to right. 1-0 pitch. Misses on the outside corner.
We talk about how the right-handed batter is going to have to do some damage tonight, because Perez usually very efficient against left-handers, and the fact that he throws a lot of pitches up. You see, he's a fly ball pitcher, but you got to make sure you don't chase that ball up, because he get a lot of pop-ups or weak fly balls like he did in the first inning.
Having grown up here in St. Louis, Al, and you were broadcasting at the time, you think about the Mets and the Cardinals in the 80s and the great back and forth history that they had at that time, and then you think about the recent history of playoff baseball, and who could forget Wainwright striking out Carlos Beltran.
Or Molina's home run.
Or Molina's home run. You just let me right there.
Just propelled the Cardinals into the World Series. And I can remember the Jerry Grody, Lou Brock battles, catcher and stolen base leader.
There's a base hit for Yadier Molina. Prior to the Molina home run or the strikeout for Adam Wainwright, Terry Pendleton's home run had to be one of the great home runs in the recent history of this rivalry between the Cardinals and the Mets. But Molina's home run was unexpected. You even think about Sotaguchi's home run off of Billy Wagner. Scott Spezio with a big blow against the Mets. Here's Chris Duncan, the left fielder. Duncan hitting .381, and that's taken low and outside.
Chris with a 12-game hitting streak. He's hit in every game he started this year.
The last 3 years, the Mets, you talk about heartache. They've been eliminated on the final day with a loss at Shea. 2006, the Cardinals winning in the NLCS. And then the last 2 years, the Marlins in the regular season at Shea.
Yeah, just disappointing when you don't go further in the playoffs, but when you get eliminated and don't make the playoffs with their payroll.
They have Citi Field now, brand new field, and a brand new Yankee Stadium, which apparently the win studies, well, they didn't do enough, because we've seen 20 home runs already.
At the Yankee Stadium, and 14 of those to right field.
There might be some nervous folks
and
looking at that brand new stadium. What?
You got teased in what to expect at Citi Field, right?
Apparently there's some things that are not quite up to par.
we don't know what they are yet, but
I was just told, just wait and see.
Wait and see.
Wait and see is what I was told.
And you were told it was a fair ballpark, and said wait and see.
That's right. David Wright dives Diving. Oh, what a play by Wright.
That's why he wins Gold Gloves.
Two-time Gold Glove winner David Wright in foul territory with a fine play.
What made it such a tough play is he was playing well off the line. And the ball's going to slice away from him coming off of Duncan's bat. Flat out dives for it. Watch how quick he scrambles to see if he can double off Molina. But hot shots with our X-Mocam. That's a great camera.
And here's Khalil Green. We haven't talked a lot about Khalil Green, but here's a guy that was drafted by the Padres out of Clemson. And if you go back and look at some of the numbers in his 4-year career at Clemson, just an unbelievable
player
college.
Of the year, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was Golden Spikes Award winner. Great college career. Just about set every offensive record in Clemson history, which of course they're a fine baseball program. And I talked to Khalil on the recent road trip, and he said he did expect to get traded because of the situation in San Diego, and he was pleasantly surprised to come to St. Louis. Very cerebral when you talk to Khalil Green.
Very quiet, kind of laid back. You got to draw things out of him, but very pleasant.
Green skies one into shallow right. Here's Ryan Church, and he makes the catch. Cardinals continue their 3-game series against the Mets tomorrow on Fox Sports Midwest. Coverage starts at 6:30. If you'd like to, you can go to New York and listen in to Wayne Hagan on the radio side for the Mets. That's Wayne Hagan.
I heard Wayne with his Sheffield 500 home run call. It's the first time he ever got to do one.
Had a nice visit with Wayne before the game.
And what I was confused with is Sheffield and Delgado have 1,500 RBIs.
And a line drive caught by Reyes to end the second inning. Cardinals strand their second runner 2-0 after 2. Jan Albas from the Variety Club is with us. Big day for Emo's Pizza right here in St. Louis is coming up tomorrow. The Cardinals trail by the score of 2-0. Dan McLaughlin back with you. Jan is with us, and let's jump right into it. Emo's Pizza, St. Louis favorite, and it helps out a lot of kids tomorrow.
Absolutely. We're hoping everybody goes out and buys their lunch or dinner, gets those Emo's Pizzas, because it's going to help Variety's kids. This is Variety Week, and all of the Emo's pizza stores are going to be giving 10% of everything that comes in to Variety's kids. We're very excited about that.
All right, Carlos Delgado leads it off for the Mets. It's 2-0 New York, and this is the 12th year for the Emo's for Kids Day. And tomorrow, anyone again who purchases anytime at any Emo's, 10% of the proceeds will go to Variety. And I know that's something that really stands out for you folks. This is a huge day for you guys.
It's really huge, and it's that one special day, and we're just hoping people just eat a lot of Emo's Pizza. Even buy the certificates, because that counts as well. I mean, you can, eat for a whole year, buy your certificates on one day, and it's going to help Variety's kids.
And over the past 11 years, the Emo's franchises have contributed over $700,000 to Variety. And that's wonderful. And if you can explain a little bit, Jan, where that money goes, I think people would have a better understanding.
That is absolutely wonderful. These are kids with physical and mental disabilities right here in our own community, 165 zip codes. Over 20,000 kids a year are getting our services at Variety. Medical equipment, all kinds of services like our adventure camp and our chorus. We do really special things with kids all the time and try to get them to their potential. We all know what the potential is. We're all hoping our players have that, get to that as well all the time. And these are very special kids with some challenges: spina bifida, cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy. They have those challenges, but boy, do they ever overcome it with the help of the community.
This is shallow center, Beltran, and now Anquillo puts that one away, and quickly 2 outs. Also the Sunshine coach vans. That's something that it benefits as well, and obviously that's big too.
They are. They're all over St. Louis, 115 of them. Transportation for these children that are in wheelchairs and who need help help getting to their doctor's appointments and other activities. It's very important that we provide that.
And Jan, for people who'd like to find out more online, where could they go, or maybe a phone number?
Yes, go to varietystl.org. You can find out so much about Variety and Variety Week, a week long of activities. We've already had the parade and the fashion show, and we're looking forward to Dinner with the Stars on Saturday with Smokey Robinson and our primetime special on KMOV at 9 o'clock.
And where is, so that's going to be on KMOV at 9?
9 p.m. on Saturday.
Okay.
Yes, check it out. You're going to see some great stories of Variety kids.
And here's a fly ball into left center. Jan, just like that, we go 1, 2, 3.
All
Good
right.
luck. Go to Emo's, right?
Get the pizza at Emo's.
Go to Emo's tomorrow. 12th year for Emo's. For Kids Day, 10% of proceeds go to Variety. Cardinals Kids Clinics are back. It's that time again. Boys and girls ages 7 to 13 learn baseball fundamentals from former Cardinals here in town. Number to call 345-9891. Don't forget about that pizza tomorrow at Emo's. 12th year for the Emo's Kids Day.
And by the way, Dan, this is for you and the crew. There's 2 of them here. I already had 4 myself, but
nice job.
We want to thank Emo's for
nice job,
providing that for us.
Here is Todd Wellemeyer. I'll tell you what, I was ready to invite Jan back for another inning. Her analysis was outstanding. But I'm glad you're here, Al.
I mean, I can go have the Emo's pizza, and you can. Jan, get back here.
We had our quickest inning yet to date in baseball this year. She brought us good luck.
And Todd needed it.
Yes, he did. It was quick. Boom, boom, boom. It smells pretty good. What are the Blues doing, by the way? Have you seen?
I'm watching baseball.
I am too. I was visiting with Jan, and I figured that you were looking up at the TV back there.
I made him change it to baseball.
Al, don't lie. Wellemeyer doesn't like the call, and he strikes out. Remember, he walked Perez.
I told you he wasn't happy with home plate umpire Tim McClellan, the crew
But
chief.
if you're the pitcher up there, you can't really say too much. You got to be very careful.
You know what you can say? I can accept it if you give me that same pitch. But that's about what.
That's all you can say. That's it. Here's Brendan Ryan. First pitch is a strike.
Of course, we mean by staying in the game.
Right, exactly. You got to stay in the game, but you want your message to be heard. You have to make a point. And Brendan pops it up foul behind home plate. So Wellemeyer's the first strikeout victim for Oliver Perez. There's one away and an 0-2 count on Brendan Ryan.
And Perez is one of those guys that can rack up the strikeouts, but the Cardinals collectively as a team are good contact hitters.
Set up inside the 0-2. Popped up. And on the outfield grass, Castillo, former Gold Glove winner, 3 consecutive for Castillo, 03, 04, and 05. Well, make sure to visit Busch Bash in the Ford Plaza prior to each Friday home game. Busch Bash features prizes, live music. Cardinals player this season each Friday prior to the All-Star game will also feature former Cardinals All-Star. And this Friday will be Andy Bennis, 5:30 to 6:30 for tickets. Please visit stlcardinals.com. Get your autograph and picture with Andy Bennis. Rick Ankiel takes a pitch outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. What have you seen with Ankiel? Why has it been a struggle here at the beginning of the season?
And the abundance of left-handed pitching, and I think, you know, when your average starts going down, he was only 1 for 18 on the road trip. You know, you start pressing, you try to do too much, try and get 10 hits when you only get 3 or 4 at bats.
And he strikes out, and 2 strikeouts in the inning. 3 innings in the books, and it's the Mets on top by 2.
Welcome back to Busch Stadium as Todd Wellemeyer allowed 5 hits and 2 runs in the first inning and a third, and is retired. It should be 6 in a row, Dan.
Here's Green over to Pujols. And Ramon Castro is retired. Twice he has grounded out to Khalil Green. Folks, in Big Mac land here tonight at Busch Stadium, 2-0 Mets here in the 4th. With the extra day's rest, maybe this is, now the time that Wellemeyer really starts to settle in.
Yeah, you're probably right. He's had, 8 days rest between starts, and so you're a little rusty the first inning or two, and now he'll settle in. He's retired 6 in a row.
And here is Castillo, a 3-time All-Star. Only played in 87 games a year ago. He dealt with a strained hip flexor, the dreaded strained hip flexor, and he hit .245.
See, over 400 this season. Thurston, the third baseman, pulled in on the grass.
With his speed, though, this is what he can do. You see almost a running start out of the box. He's a switch hitter, but when he hits from this side of the plate, third baseman is in. All kinds of lanes open up on the opposite side.
Yeah, slap hitter, and just almost the extension of his arms is the bat, and running. Just there's a good example.
Yeah.
His natural side is the right side, so far and away the majority of his home runs, 24 of 27 career home runs, has happened when he's batting right-handed.
Here's a line shot to Khalil Green. So all of a sudden now he's starting to settle in a little bit here. You got the pitcher up and a chance to go 1-2-3 again here in the 4th.
5 hits and 2 walks in that first inning and a third. He's lucky he only allowed 1 run in each inning, first and second.
Here's Perez, and he takes a strike. The Cardinals will have Pujols, Ludwig, and Molina coming up. Here's a ground ball. Green under his glove and into center. And a base hit. So Oliver Perez is on base for the second time.
Stayed down on Khalil Green. It was hit sharply over the mound. Took a little hop and stayed right down and underneath the glove of Khalil Green. And Perez has been on base twice now, with a walk and now a single.
So it's a 2-out base hit, and here's Jose Reyes, who is 1 for 2.
Always worried about runners ahead of him.
This guy is, in my mind, Al, so much fun to watch.
Yes, and I think a lot of people think that if you were starting a club, you could pick one player. Obviously, a lot of people would take Pujols. A lot of people would take Reyes.
I got here about 2:30, 2:45, and Reyes was on the field taking ground balls, and he was doing what Ozzie used to do. Take a ground ball and not look at second base, just throw towards the bag. So when he was in a particular position defensively, he had the feel for it.
It's very charismatic, he's
just whip the ball,
A lot of things with him, and that's part of it, practicing. Get in that situation where you have to throw blindly, he knows where it is. Can't do a backflip, though.
There's a base hit into right. And Perez will stop at second. So here we go with 2 outs, just like back in the first. By the way, we understand Ozzie Smith will be here tomorrow, and I'm sure that's in conjunction with the All-Star festivities tomorrow, and we hope to have him on the air with us tomorrow night. Always nice to visit with the Wizard.
Sure.
Of course, that may be news to Ozzie, so Ozzie, get ready. I know you've never been interviewed before, so get ready for it. 2 on, and here's Daniel Murphy.
Remember, he was picked off by Molina. It's the 26th person that Molina has picked off.
That to me is unbelievable. How do you not know that this guy is going to try to do it?
Yeah, well, and those numbers rank up there with guys that had extended major league careers.
So with the video and the scouting reports, the question is, how does that happen? Is it a little bit of Pujols? Is it a little bit because he's got a great arm?
I guess you
the element of surprise.
You blame it on the former Cardinal #1 draft pick Luis Alicea, who's the first base coach.
That's right. There he is over there. But, I mean, to me, that's just hard to believe.
Yes. Well, Murphy believes it now.
This is into shallow left, but a foul ball.
There he is out of Florida State.
Here's the other question. I would be curious, out of those guys who have gotten picked off, how many have had a runner in front of them? A lot of times he'll throw behind that runner at first with a guy at second. You wonder,
false security,
you know, where the runner at first is going. But he is terrific at that.
Well, you got that opportunity now.
And that's why I bring it up. Pujols is way back. He is near the outfield grass at first, and this pitch is hit into right field, and Perez will score to make it 3-0. Ludwig has to hurry up with Reyes scooting towards third. 3-0 Mets here in the fourth. And again, with 2 outs, it's the base hits, 3 consecutive, just like back in the first.
Yeah. Slider, instead of being backdoored or further in, just is down in the middle of the plate, and a left-hander's dream. He had hoped that the pitcher, Perez, was going to slow up and, you know, and keep Reyes from going to third base or something, but he scores on Murphy's 5th RBI.
What's interesting here is now you have David Wright up. Singleton scored in the first, back in the second. He was caught looking. He knew it was a called third strike, didn't argue, just walked right away. The kind of adjustments that he makes in a game, being an all-star player and one of the best in baseball.
It was the slider that got him looking for the strikeout. Start him out inside, pitch away.
David Wright is an outstanding talent with both the glove and the bat. And as you mentioned, the poster child in many ways of the Mets. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Todd Wellemeyer missed in. He's now approaching 80 pitches on the night. The 1-1 to David Wright. Again, a slider slowly hit. Tough play. Thurston bare hands, throws wildly. A run scores. Pujols after it. Here comes another run. A throw to the plate. Molina with the tag, and they got him. A run will score, though. It'll be a base hit for David Wright, and an error on Thurston. And a good strong throw from Pujols as Molina was just waiting. Finally, his man came through. Well, the Cardinals down by 4 as we move to the bottom of the 4th here in St. Louis. Stuck in the middle, 3-4-5 this season for the Cardinals. Very, very impressive. And the Cardinals have 3-4-5 due up in this inning with Pujols, Ludwig, and Molina. Pujols fly to left on a 3-1 pitch, his first time up. Here's a 1-0 from Perez. A little bit low, 2 balls, no strikes.
Our production and RBIs are good. An average will be back over 300. It's hard to say when you are open, when we showed 5 Cardinals better than 300, and Albert wasn't one of them. Tony always says he bats the pitcher 8 when the team has trouble scoring runs.
Not even close. And the second walk in this ball game. Our Schnooks this date in baseball history. Pujols. Our young Albert looks like there. But yet, that's at the new Busch Stadium. 2006. One career hit number 1,000.
And it also was a home run, which was career number 212.
And remember, in 2006, where would the Cardinals be without that first month and a half from Albert Pujols? Probably not in the postseason.
Carried the club.
Yes, he did. And where would the Cardinals be without Ludwig a year ago, and what he's done this year so far with 5 home runs, 15 RBIs. First time up, he flied to deep center. The ball is just jumping off his bat. I was watching him in BP today, Al, and in my opinion, he had probably, you look at what, 3, 4, 5 different guys, and you're always expecting those players to have a BP that stands out more so than others. And he was one of them.
BP has really changed. It used to be some of your backup guys used to go up there and try to do home run derby.
And he strikes out here.
Where a lot of your position players would work on technique and try to get their batting eye, hit down on the ball, hit to the opposite field.
Right.
But now it's a show inside the show.
Here's Molina, who singled his first time up and got the Cardinals' first base hit of the night.
First and only hit of the night.
Cardinals dropped 2 of 3 against Chicago, won 2 of 3 to start the road trip against Arizona. They have traded for Blaine Boyer, who is in their bullpen. Molina double play candidate, pops it foul. Now Boyer's a guy that is from the Atlanta area, and in talking yesterday with some of the people that cover that team, they said maybe a change of scenery was best for him.
Well, we've seen guys that play in their hometown that it could be a pitcher perfect situation, and others that really struggle with that scenario. So he's got a good arm.
And Molina guides it into right, base hit into the corner. Pujols on his way to third. He'll stop there, almost ran through the sign, and he's halfway between third and home, and he retreats back to third base. Second and third now with 1 out. I thought he was going to run right through that sign.
Well, you thought he was too. This ball gets down. It's extra bases for Molina. You know, Kendo is never going to stop a base runner unless, he just sees he's going to run into an out. Albert, very good base runner. Good going first to third. Picks up Oquendo, who puts up the stop sign for him, and then tells Molina to stay at second.
Al, half the time with him, it's just the element of surprise that you just don't think that somebody would do what he's about to do. And speaking about Pujols, the way that he runs the bases.
Right.
You just take for granted he's going to stop.
And you can tell right now his legs are pretty good shape because he has been so aggressive on the base paths.
Extremely aggressive this year. Duncan looks at a pitch low and away. Pujols retreating to the bag at third. 1 ball, 1 strike with 1 out, 2 runners on. Best opportunity for the Cardinals tonight. Duncan fouled out back in the second on a diving play by the Gold Glover at third, David Wright. Duncan pulls it foul. Now in the hole, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Castro out to talk to Perez. See if they get that breaking ball far enough away.
Get him to chase.
Like he did with Ankiel back in the 3rd inning. Good breaking ball down and away.
Let's see what Castro wants and where he sets up. Wants it high. And Duncan lines out again to right. May have broken his bat. I think he did, and there's 2 away. 6 is a serious number. When the Cardinals score 6 runs, get a 20-ounce coffee, fountain, or frozen drink for only $1 the next day at On the Run at Mobile. Cardinals need a 2-out base hit. Here's Khalil Green. Green fly to right his first time up. Now 2 for 10 against Oliver Perez. Runners at second and third. And Green takes 1 low. Cardinals have seen the Mets in the first and again in the fourth with 2-out base hits. Let's see if the Cardinals can return the favor. Green homered over the weekend in Chicago on a high pitch. That's low. 2 balls, no strikes. I was talking with Khalil, as I mentioned, on the road trip, and He talked about his appreciation for Albert Pujols being on the other side and now being on this side with the Cardinals, and every day just trying to pick up something that Albert does in BP to carry over for Khalil Green.
Well, that's what you hope all the Cardinal fans realize, what they are seeing on an everyday basis.
He said, in my lifetime, I'm not sure I'm going to see a greater hitter than the guy standing at third right now, Albert Pujols. He said it was unbelievable in watching him on the other side. 3-0 on Green with Thurston on deck. And he walked him. So 2 walks in the inning, 3 in the game, bases loaded. Sometimes you'll hear Pujols talk about the same way Todd Helton of the Colorado Rockies.
Well, let's see. Tony usually comes up with a gem when he makes a little bit of an unusual spot in the order. You know, instead of playing the right hand hitting Barton against Oliver Perez, see if his hunch is right with Thurston. Key spot in this game.
Big spot in this game here in the 4th, and Thurston on the first pitch may have chased a ball inside.
It's up. It looks so good. You have a tendency to swing at it, but it's a little bit further in than what ideally you would like.
Joe, his first time up, lined out to short.
Remember, he's got 4 doubles on the young year. He'd like to pull one down into the right field corner.
Bad news down the street, 2-0 Vancouver in the second period over the Blues. Blues trailing 3-0. I worked that last Blues game on Sunday night. You should have seen the atmosphere. Outstanding.
What, 19,000 there?
Oh yeah, another sellout. They've had
been in every game too.
Yes, they have. They've had, I don't know, 30 or 31 sellouts this year. That's great. It's good to see. One and one on Thurston. Two balls, one strike. The best in the business, Joe Buck, wearing his Blues cap on Pardon the Interruption the other day. Interviewed by the great Tony Kornheiser.
He's
Michael Wilbon.
He's a Blues fan, season ticket holder, isn't he?
That's right. Well, that's right down the middle. 2-2.
I said I know he's a fan, and I'm sure he's a season ticket holder.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Bases loaded on Thurston. I'm not sure where the game of the week is this weekend. Maybe right here, huh? One guess might be New York. Bet I can't go wrong. Outside, 3-2.
Well, that's the last thing that Perez wanted to do. Run it into a running count. Merry-go-round play. The bases loaded, 2 outs. Molina out there at second base. He can be an umpire, and if he sees Thurston start to swing, he can just take off on the 3-2 pitch, 2 outs.
Crowd into it now. 2 outs, bases loaded, time called. Like to see this crowd get into it as the Cardinals trail by 4. They've been out hit 9-2. Bases loaded. Pujols is on. Molina on. There they go. And a strikeout of Thurston with the late call. McClellan, the late call, as Thurston was about halfway down the first base line and then finally called out. Watch the reaction of the home plate umpire. Nothing. Finally, the call. Tim McClellan is our home plate umpire. Joe Thurston thought it was a ball. You know, the fans thought it was, but look at that. At the knees. That's where it goes across the plate.
Yeah, you look at that replay. We got it Give McClellan the benefit of the doubt, just too close. The only thing you can say is, particularly early in this game, he was not calling the low strike, but he has been more consistent with it lately.
Trivia time. Let's take a look. Aflac trivia question: at his current pace, when would Albert Pujols hit his 500th home run? Of course, we've seen Gary Sheffield recently do it for the Mets. September of 2012 in his 12th Major League season. Remarkable career that Pujols has put together. In this lineup, you think about who you do not want to beat you. I'm talking about the Cardinals lineup. As Delgado pops one up. The shift was on. Nice play by Thurston. That's not an easy play. He was at the shortstop position. And now 2-1 Vancouver leading St. Louis as Brad Boyce picks up a goal for the Blues. I mean, that's the thing, though. And Tony La Russa, we've talked about it over the years how Sparky Anderson taught him. You look at the lineup and you say, okay, that guy's not going to beat me. And the question becomes, if you're facing the Cardinals, you can't let Pujols beat you. So then you got to pitch to Ludwig, you got to pitch to Duncan, you got to pitch to some of the others that might give you damage.
And that's why even the batter in front of him is so critical. Get on base, and not give them a free pass to let him. Green was playing up the middle, expecting him to pull the ball a little bit, and this ball just sliced at normal shortstop depth.
Maybe the biggest surprise this season, I won't even say maybe, the biggest surprise of the season has to be the Florida Marlins. How about the way that they have played baseball this year?
They lost last night. It was only their second loss.
That's it.
Pitching. Getting good pitching.
Very good pitching. And the thing is, I mean, they reload every time that they take a championship team. They just unload those players and restock. They do a great job of going into farm systems and saying, all right, here's our top player. We want player X, Y, and Z, who happen to be very good young players. They develop those players, and collectively they come together, and all of a sudden, they start to make a run. Molina again. Oh, almost got Carlos Beltran at first.
I thought that one was closer than the first one. But does he get his hand back?
Great view here, guys. Oh, he's out.
If he tagged him, he looked like he missed him with the first swipe.
I'm saying he's out.
Before Beltran got this base hit, I was shocked when I looked up there. You know what his career numbers are against the Cardinals? Beltran was only batting .222.
Well, see, you were adding in the postseason. That's what you were thinking about. You were concentrating on that postseason in which he almost.
But I mean, it does seem like
put Houston in
more like a .322.
Oh, I totally agree. But you know what? The one thing I think about with Beltran outside, and he was running on that pitch, of his success was the strikeout against Wainwright. One of the best curveballs we've seen in recent memory.
Just can't pull the trigger on it. Ryan Church.
I mean, Al, you're a reliever. You were a great reliever. You think about Wainwright and the guts it takes to make that pitch at that time in the season with everything on the line. Shea Stadium, literally, the stands are going up and down. They're rocking. And he strikes out Beltran.
Yeah, but first of all, he has that weapon.
You had the fastball.
Yeah, I mean, so I didn't have that weapon, which you're in a fastball hitting count, and if you can throw one for a strike, you're going to freeze a lot of hitters, and that's what he did.
Just a 12-6 knee buckler.
Because you'd have to pay respect to Wainwright's fastball, so you got to look at that, and hopefully you can adjust to the breaking ball. But it was such a good one in 3-2, and I just was frozen.
And you think about 2006, and Wainwright was thrust in the position of being a bullpen guy and a reliever, and eventually the closer. Remarkable. Pujols backhands, goes to second. Back to the bag and double play. 3-6-3 on the double play. Wellemeyer due up when we come back. Gorgeous night here in St. Louis. You see that Greensfelder sign lit up. Brand new signage near the ballpark here in downtown St. Louis. The Career Fair. If you're a recent college graduate or looking for a career change, join us for the 3rd annual Career Fair at Busch Stadium Tuesday, May 5th. Wellemeyer fouls it back. Representatives from many of the area's top corporations will be on hand for a pregame Career Fair. And one great price gets you admission to the fair and a ticket to the Cardinals-Phillies game that night. 345-9500. Wellemeyer with a base hit up the middle. By the way, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think we only see the Phillies twice at home this year.
What I saw that where.
Am I right about that?
Unless there is a later series here, but it's a 2-game set in our next homestand.
Means Ryan Howard only one time through in the World Champions.
May 4th and 5th.
And good seats are still available.
Yeah, a 4-game homestand. And Pittsburgh comes in for the 6th and 7th.
Here's Brendan Ryan.
And a quick glance, and that's right.
Brendan Ryan on the first pitch flies out to center. Beltran is there. We talk so much about Beltran and his offense against the Cardinals. We're talking about a 3-time Gold Glover out there in center field, and Al, he is as smooth as they come.
Just kind of glides to the ball. It looks like he's effortless. And this is the guy we got to get going.
In the final 17 games for the Mets last year, Jerry Manuel went to his bullpen 69 times. David Perron moved to the top line for the Blues, and it's tied up 2-2 in the second period. But how about that? 69 times in 17 games. The final 17 for the Mets, Jerry Manuel went to the bullpen. And that's why they did a complete overhaul of their bullpen. And, hey, they brought in K-Rod, they brought in Putz, a lot of guys.
Billy Wagner had the Tommy John surgery, so they need a closer, and they got 2 of them.
And Keel left center field, base hit. An aggressive Wellemeyer on his way to third. He's in there, and Ankiel is safe at second. Like to see that.
Who says a pitcher can't run the bases? But slicing out there to the left fielder, and Daniel Murphy slipped down. And that's what allowed Wellemeyer to get into third base.
Did you see Okendo over there talking to him? I wonder if he was saying, hold on now.
That's what he saw. Now, he might have been looking straight in, so he sees this and he decides, yeah, he was running to second.
Yeah.
Saw that and made that
hard.
determination that he could get over to third base. And then Ankiel slips in behind him, so 2 men in scoring position with only 1 out.
Now you have first base open. Will they pitch to Albert Pujols? And first pitch, I guess that's our answer, is a strike.
Well, flirting with danger. And Albert knows that probably, it'd be borderline pitches.
Second and third. And Pujols hits it down the left field line, and that ball will get down. To the wall it goes, and 2 runs will score. It's a double for Pujols. Picks up RBIs number 15 and 16, cuts the lead to 4-2. Broke his bat and still on a hop gets to the wall.
And you just wonder about this strategy by challenging him. Now, granted, he can't win or he can't tie the game, and he gets sawed off pretty hard. The barrel went into the stands, and luckily nobody hurt, but a productive bat and at bat as he drives in 2 more, and RBIs, 1 more than Ludwig at 16 to 15.
So 31 RBIs already between Pujols and Ludwig. Ludwig is 0 for 2. He's flied out to deep center and struck out.
About 9 home runs and And 31 RBIs between the two of them.
It's popped fouling out of play. No balls and a strike.
Batting average over 300, about 350 combined.
One swing of the bat ties it up. Great numbers with runners in scoring position for Ryan Ludwig. Outfield is deep. That's outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
This year he's batting .571 with 2 home runs and 12 RBIs with runners in scoring position.
You see the pitch count. That's outside. 2-1.
Molina is 2 for 2 on deck.
And Al, you're exactly right. With first base open, you have to question why you pitch to Pujols.
Well,
or if you do, you got to pitch very carefully.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they went inside with that second delivery after he got ahead 0-1 with a strike.
And check on Albert. You know that he'll be aggressive on anything that gets down. And already now, bullpen is up and throwing.
Stokes and Fossum. Fossum, the left-hander.
Here's a 2-1 pitch to Ludwig. Popped up. Will it get out of play? No, it will not. Delgado knows all about Albert Pujols. Quickly back into the infield, and there's 2 outs. Well, Molina is 2 for 2. He has singled and also doubled tonight. 2 for 2.
Maybe we'll see a natural cycle. Be the triple.
So Molina now is 7 for 18 against this lefty.
And it does happen.
I'm sure one of the things they're saying is, wait a minute here. You do have first base open. You know the numbers against you. You've got Duncan on deck, who we've seen line out weakly to third twice. Would you rather deal with Duncan or Molina here?
Well, I mean, it's one of those situations where you try to get the hitter out, but you make Molina expand to the zone and get himself out. Just don't want to just walk everybody. Now, Molina has a good batting eye, rarely strikes out.
He has walked 3. Here's a 1-0 pitch to Molina. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes. Yadier Molina with runners in scoring position has been very good. You see with runs batted in, the National League leaders among catchers. Molina tops among those catchers in the National League.
Keep on pitching outside there, and
might be doing him a favor.
Going to the opposite field.
That's right. They're trying to keep Pujols close at second. And so that second baseman Castillo is nearing the bag, which then opens up that little gap between he and Delgado. I caught the outside corner, 2-1.
Yeah, but it was pitch up that would have been hard to get on top of and hit a line drive. Beltran shading right field. Church is the most shallow right fielder.
Cardinals have been out hit 10-5 in this ball game. That's way outside. And 3-1 is the count. Over 80 pitches already for Oliver Perez. We're only in the 5th, so we'll see this bullpen at some point tonight for the Mets, this revamped bullpen.
Well, this is when you got to get them, is early in the game. You know, get rid of the, in the 6th inning before you get late when they can throw some real weapons at you.
And that's outside. So Duncan will step in with 2 runners on. Third time that Molina has been aboard. It's first and second now for Duncan. And again, twice he is lined out to third. The first time it was a diving play in foul territory by David Wright, the 2-time Gold Glover.
4 walks now by Perez.
And Perez has struck out 4 on the night.
Make a mistake on the inner part of the plate and let him turn on the ball.
Let's see what Duncan gets on this first pitch. Yeah, he was thinking fastball. Got the slider. This season with runners in scoring position, 7 RBIs and a good average at .333. Pujols is at second. He drove in 2 with his double. He now has 16 RBIs. Molina is over at first with a walk. I hesitate to call the ball because with Tim McClellan, he stands up and then makes the call.
Yeah, and it was over the middle of the plate, but down. That's where you hope he makes a mistake and hangs one.
Here's a 1-1 pitch to Duncan on its way. Ready for it to the right side. Can they get to first? Bases are loaded.
Made a mistake in location, and Chris Duncan with the infield single now has a career high 13-game hitting streak.
It's a heck of a play there, partner, by Castillo to save a run.
And he kind of got deked a little bit by Delgado.
Delgado ranging to his right, thinking that he might make this play.
So pulls it here. Now Delgado, well, he didn't even go after, but
he went after it enough, though.
He went over enough of it, but then didn't try to offer with the glove.
And Duncan diving into first base. Safe. And so the bases are loaded for Khalil Green. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and a chance to do a little damage here. Green is fly to right. He's also walked. His walk was back in the 4th. Good hustle there by Duncan to reach first base to load him up. And Green takes a ball inside. Both pitchers now have thrown 86 pitches in this game. Here's a 1-0. That's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Again, that's that late call. It gets me every time.
It does. And,
it gets you too.
Nope, because you have to call it.
But you just leave me hanging out to dry.
You have to make the call. I can watch and say, oh, damn.
Thanks a lot, Al. After all these years with Tim McClellan, I should expect it. Green, the next to him. Way outside.
We could roll back the tape and you said, well, he won't fool you until the 6th inning.
I'd rather not.
But McClellan kind of calls the ball. He's down in his stance, and then he doesn't show any signal until he stands straight up.
That's right. Here's a chance to go hacking here on 2-1 with the bases loaded. Stands up, rings up the strike. 2-2. Well, you know that Perez does not want to go 3-2 here. This is a big, big pitch in this game right here.
It's again with 2 strikes and 2 outs. Molina can look in, and if Khalil starts his swing, he can just take off running and get a great jump.
There is a huge gap in left center. Look at that gap between Murphy, the left fielder, and Carlos Beltran, the center fielder.
Now we know that Green a couple years ago hit 27 home runs at 90+ RBIs. He's gotten underneath a lot of balls already in the early going. Just hit the line drives. Just try and hit the line drive, and home runs will come.
Khalil already with 2 home runs this year and 6 RBIs. These two probably know each other from their days in San Diego. 2-2. Fouled back. Oliver Perez was in San Diego. Of course, Khalil was as well. Two-two pitch. Now it gets interesting. Full count. Bases loaded. 4-2 game here in the 5th.
2 innings in a row. The Cardinals have had the bases loaded in a 3-2 count.
Last time it was a ball that Joe Thurston took. Called for a strike. May have been a little bit low, but Tim McClellan thought it was at the knees. And he walked him. Khalil Green with RBI number 7 cuts the lead to 4-3. Now, if you're Tony La Russa, the inning started with a base hit by Wellemeyer. We've talked about the importance of trying to get deep into games by the starters. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that Joe Thurston delivers here. Then you have a decision with Wellemeyer coming up.
Well, right now they're going to make a pitching change, so Tony might have a decision anyway.
So another walk, and that's the 3rd in the inning, and they have 2 lefties in their bullpen. This will be Casey Fossum coming in, and this is our Chevrolet call to the bullpen for the Mets to face Joe Thurston. 4-3 Mets here in the 5th. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Chrysler. Employee Pricing Plus is in its final month at your Chrysler and Jeep dealer. Hurry, offer ends April 30th. And by McDonald's. Come into McDonald's today and get any large soft drink or sweet tea for just $1. Joe Thurston will face Casey Fossum. After Sunday's game for the Mets, they picked up his contract and he was a starter in the minor leagues. First pitch is taken for a ball. Where's number 47? He had a .82 ERA and 2 starts for the Bisons. 11 innings, allowed 5 hits, 1 run, and that was earned with 5 walks. He struck out 12. That's nowhere close. And now Fossum finds himself back in the major leagues in a tough spot.
Yeah, he was just recalled yesterday from AAA. Had good numbers for Detroit last season. And, you know, I mean, a win and loss. 3 out of 4 decisions.
Here's a 2-0 pitch to Thurston. Nowhere close, 3-0. But if you're Fossum, you're thinking, okay, I just started out in the minor leagues. Now I come into the major leagues, bases loaded. I'm trying to make an impression. There's some extra pressure here.
It's a great opportunity to make a significant impression and keep the lead.
And he walked Thurston. This game is tied at 4-4. He walked him on 4 straight. Three walks in the inning for the Cardinals.
Remember, Dan, pressure's just a word.
And now Todd Wellemeyer has been pulled back with a chance to do some damage here with 2 outs in the.
Brian Barden.
B-A-R-D-E-N. Barton. Brian Barton was the player traded by the Cardinals. With a surplus of outfielders, they could afford to let him go in many ways.
It was going to be very difficult for Brian Barton to make the club out of spring training last
Better
year's
spell it, Al.
Rule 5.
It's hard to figure out, okay?
But, and you know, then John Jay seemed like he's passed him by on the
right,
you know, on the prospect ladder, and so you're able to get a pitcher that you needed. And Barden, who had a very, very good road trip, including his first 3 major league home runs, has an opportunity right now to give Wellemeyer a win.
Well, I think it's worth noting that you talked to Tony La Russa. Barden on the first pitch on a hop to short. I was about to say why Barden didn't get the start at third. We'll talk about that when we come back. The Cardinals have tied it up. It's 4-4. It's a cool night here in St. Louis, but gorgeous for baseball. Glad you're with us on Fox Sports Midwest. Yadier Molina ready for rivalry week. the Mets and Cubs, this 6-game homestand. The Mets draw first blood. 2-out base hit in the first inning. 2-out hits, a story in this game, and Kyle McClellan coming in. And here's the Cardinal right-hander, but the Cardinals, though, have tied it up. It's 4-4, Al.
They tied it up, and McClellan looks like he gets the first man. It's
Castro.
Castro pops it up.
That's in the center. Rick Ankiel is there. And Castro is 0 for 3. Our Chevrolet call to the bullpen, Kyle McClellan.
Well, Kyle has done a nice job. 7th appearance now. He's retired 6 of the first 7. Retired the first batter 6 of the 7 appearances. See what he's done on the year. But once again, because the starter only goes 5 innings, you're asking the bullpen to account for 12 outs at least.
But as we have talked about, this bullpen, at least for this game, should be rested and ready to roll.
With, the off day yesterday, their first of the year, and Sunday's rain out. But got to stretch these guys out. But you can understand why Tony, having that great scoring opportunity, tried to go for it, and Barden hit the ball hard just right at the shortstop.
And this is slapped the other way, and playing in was Thurston. It's a base hit, and Castillo, who is now lined out and picks up a triple, and now this single is 2 for 3. Look at this. Ooh, that was close.
They've got to play in to guard against his speed and his ability to bunt. Most of his got a tremendous amount of infield singles, and a high percentage of those are bunt base hits. But it really, at the hot corner, that ball comes rifling at you when you're playing in.
That's the hot corner, no doubt about that. Here is Alex Cora. Oliver Perez, who was in this spot before being lifted for Casey Fossum, actually contributed with a single, run scored, and a walk. So here is Cora. They have 2 lefties on the bench tonight, Cora and also Jeremy Reed. And maybe a question at this point for Jerry Manuel is, why waste Cora here if you're thinking about bunting in this situation? Casey Fossum was a guy that, as we talked about, in the minor leagues has started before, and you would figure he could handle the bat maybe a little bit.
Well, you would hope for it, but plus you just brought him up, and he's been a starter, so you could stretch him out. And it's tough to win games on the road.
It's a foul ball. They have on their bench Gary Sheffield, Omir Santos, and a guy named Tatis, Fernando Tatis.
Oh, Jeremy Reed's going to be very upset with you.
I didn't finish. And from the left side, Jeremy Reed.
Good point. Good recovery. And Marlon Anderson has been let go.
He really made a nice career out of being a bench player.
Yeah. Part of that is,
played well for the Cardinals.
Happy disposition. You understand your role. Don't make waves.
How about Tatis? He has found a new life with the Mets. We know he can play third, but he's been playing the outfield. He's also been playing second base for New York. They have not, though, the problem is with the Mets, they have not faced many lefties, and I believe they have under 55 at-bats this season against left-handed pitching. And the first lefty starter they will face will be this Friday. A little different story for the Cardinals.
Yeah. Cardinals, it seems like every other day is a left-handed pitcher.
But as much scouting is done and the numbers that are crunched, you can understand why.
And it's hard for the Cardinals to start a left-handed starter when they don't possess one.
That was one of your best breakdowns of the season
you
right there.
You understood it correctly, right?
Unless you're going back in the rotation now, it's righties predominantly. There's a curveball pulled foul. How about McClellan? Here's a guy that struggled in spring training, but here in the regular season, right back in a familiar spot. Crucial innings for Tony La Russa out of the bullpen. And he's done a very nice job.
I like him in the bullpen, and anytime you use him, he's got so many weapons to go after him.
Here's a 2-2 pitch to Cora. Spoiled. Cora's been around a long time. 4-4 game here in the 6th. 2-2 the count with a runner at first base. That runner at first is Luis Castillo.
Cora last year was with Boston, signed as a free agent in January with Mets.
And fouls it back. Castillo is still a guy you have to keep your eye on.
Hasn't attempted any steals this year.
Last year, you know, I guess it's still in the back of your mind about his speed. I mean, at one point he had 62 steals. One year he led the league with 48. That's it. How about that? Only 48 steals.
He just stole. Oh, Cardinals catch a break with Cora fouling that pitch off because McClellan did not look at him, and he had a running start. He wouldn't even Molina's shotgun arm, Yadier would not have had a chance.
Go back to that 2000 year, he had 62 steals. And it was he along with Juan Pierre. Remember that 1-2 punch with the Marlins? You know, from your perspective, Al, being a former pitcher, that leaves you a little bit uncomfortable with that kind of speed at the plate. And fouled away again.
McClellan just varied his looks enough to where Castillo didn't have the jump or was not comfortable.
2-2. Speed will kill you, won't it?
Well, they say speed doesn't go in the slump.
Right. You lay a bunt down, you get the infield hit.
But you got to get on base.
Castillo, as we've talked about, is that guy that just runs out of the box, will chop it to the other way. Before you know it, he's at first base.
Good speed, and somebody made him a switch hitter to take advantage of it. Put him a step closer from the left side of the plate.
2-2, lifted into right. Backing up to make the catch. Ludwig. Castillo is back to first. Not a bad at bat at all, though, there by Cora.
McClellan wins it with a breaking ball, but it was a 10-pitch at bat.
And there's 2 outs. Jose Reyes now.
Here's where you get worried with a guy that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, definitely get some extra base hits, and a speedy runner in front of him.
First pitch outside to Reyes. Reyes is 2 for 3. Couple of singles and RBI. And he's also flied out to center. With a check on Castillo. Reyes had 68 RBIs from the leadoff spot a year ago.
It's one of the more dynamic players in the league.
Popped up. Thurston will give chase, and out of play. When we go to New York in Citi Field, and years past at Shea Stadium, this guy just energizes the fan base in the ballpark. He steps in, the music gets going, and people are excited to watch him play.
Well, a slighter frame, but he hit 16 home runs last year.
That's right.
And he's, franchise record in triples.
Well, the Cardinals catch a break in this series. No Johan Santana. Thank you, and thank you.
Do that the entire year. We have 2 visits to Gotham this year.
That's right. A 3 and a 2, is that right?
No, a 4 and a 2.
4 and a 2. It's tap foul for strike 2. I said thank you. Hopefully that's an omen, a good omen for the Blues. John Kelly's favorite call. Big goal. Voice of the Blues. You
I know who you're talking about.
You know, the guy that, there's guys on skates, they go up and down on the ice.
And I know his dad, or did.
The great Dan Kelly.
Great Dan Kelly. Arguably the best play-by-play man ever in hockey, right?
Well, now you walk into the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto, and first thing you hear is his famous calls from the Blues and international competition.
Nice stop by Molina as that ball bounced well out in front of the plate. And of course, Dan Kelly did a little Cardinal baseball.
Missouri football too.
During my playing career,
I bet he was pretty darn good at that too.
Oh yeah.
Bob Starr. Great voices behind the mic.
Led by Jack Buck.
Swing and a miss. Reyes slams his bat in disgust, and a strikeout for McClellan. Midway through the 6th. We're tied up. It's 4-4. Hey, it's time for our Bud Light What's on Tap, and the difference is drinkability. Joel Pinheiro, John Maine, pair of right-handers tomorrow, and Joel is 2-0 on the young season. John Maine is 0-1. By the way, on Thursday, Kyle Loge and Levon Hernandez. That game at 12:40. And a right-hander is in to face Brendan Ryan, who shows bunt and looks at a strike. We're underway in the Cardinals' half of this 6th inning. Brian Stokes is the new pitcher. Again, this is a completely different looking bullpen than the Mets had at the end of last season. And Brendan reaches on a base hit into right. It seems like the Cardinals all night have been playing catch up, so good to see them with the potential go-ahead run on.
That's right. And Stokes, a right-hander, just acquired from Tampa Bay. Brendan just throws it out there in right field for the leadoff single.
That's the second time that he has been on, and here is Ricky Ankiel. It's a base hit and a walk for Brendan Ryan. Ricky Ankiel with a single and a run scored back in the 5th. Ankiel rips it on a pitch that was up. That gets down for a base hit. And the first two have reached here against this right-hander Stokes.
And Ankiel is 2 for 4 now with his second base hit, and Church really played this conservatively. Ball up, but good level swing and a solid line drive to right. So Brick is on his way back.
He plays it conservatively, but
if he goes
for it, yeah.
If he gets by it, yeah.
No question. But I agree with you. It almost hung up there enough to go get it.
Yeah, and it looked like he didn't get a real good jump on it. He just laid back on it, wasn't moving forward. So maybe get a better look out here is see our right fielder.
Right at the last second there.
And maybe it was a little further in front of him than what we thought.
Here's Albert Pujols, first and second. And he looks at a breaking ball.
Yeah, but that
a little bit upstairs. That's the kind of that he launches into Big Mac land.
I think because Albert hadn't seen him, I think he kind of looked at that one and he said, just please do that again.
Runners in scoring position, and Pujols has been outstanding. .555 average, 12 RBIs with runners in scoring position this season for Albert Pujols. Stokes is thinking, what have I gotten myself into here? 2 runners on for Albert. Ooh, vicious cut that time by Pujols. Pujols tonight has flied out to left. He walked in the 4th and an RBI double to play 2 in the 5th. He now has 16 RBIs on the year. 2-1 the count. Popped up again, and that'll find the seats out of play. 2-2. So 2 big cuts from Pujols, who was busy today filming commercials, and one of those commercials for the Buddy Walk. Don't pitch to Albert when it's the buddy walk. Of course, the buddy walk to benefit Down Syndrome Association here in St. Louis.
His numbers on that day are incredible.
That's great.
He's missed a couple pitches.
Ground ball hit to short. Out at second. Double play, but the throw is offline. Safe is Pujols. Delgado didn't even try to apply the tag. And Pujols, I believe, tagged the base with his left hand.
His left hand. You're right.
Why not a sweep tag here, though?
Ankiel goes after Castillo, and the bull pulls him. I think he had enough of it, the base, and he reaches with his left hand. Ted Barrett, and I thought his toe was on the bag when he caught that, and you see Albert reaching down.
Certainly left hand was.
Yeah. But I mean, I thought Delgado's foot was on the bag long enough, but
why not the sweep tag? I mean, if you're unsure, why not just swipe it?
Yeah.
Right there.
Comes down on it, right? And then it looked like he could have sold the tag a little bit better on the rear end.
Well, it's first and third now, and only one out. That is big. That is a huge play here because a sac fly gives the Cardinals their first lead of the night.
I thought Stokes got away with a few pitches to Albert.
No question about it, especially that breaking ball that was up.
Well, even a couple, you know, about 4 straight fastballs to him.
You show that much to Pujols, it's like a timing mechanism. Right. So they don't turn the double play, and it could cost him here. First and third with just one out. Up and into Ludwig for ball 2. Ludwig tonight has fly to deep center. He struck out in the 4th and popped out in the 5th.
Ludwig looking to extend his hitting streak to 22 games, and happy birthday to Logan O'Connor on his 22nd birthday. Maybe that's the lucky charm.
Ooh. Right on the pitch. Fouled back. Cardinals at one point were down 4-0. They tied it up with 4 in the 5th. Chance to take the lead here. A 2-1 pitch. Ludwig ground ball foul.
95 from Stokes with that delivery.
2-2. Correct me if I'm wrong, Al, but the only pitcher that's back from this bullpen is from a year ago, Pedro Feliciano. It's the only one I remember.
Stokes was there part of the year, so I mean, I think there's a few guys like that. As Stokes, I think, appeared in 24 games last year.
He is a hard thrower, though. Nice play made by a fan.
Catcher's interference.
Yeah, I think it is. As Ludwig is headed to first, so bases will be loaded. Let's take a look here.
Let's take a look. You see him reaching with the glove and comes down and hits the glove, apparently. You see Ludwig right away. Tim McClellan gives that. Dan Warthen, the pitching coach, for Jerry Manuel, out to talk to Stokes.
Well, some mistakes may come back to haunt him here in this 6th inning for the Mets. He had the potential double play off the bat of Pujols, trying to get out of a jam. Instead, that results in only one out. Catcher's interference with Ludwig up, and now you bring in Yadier Molina. The only problem with that is that Molina certainly is a double play candidate with his speed. Force play at any bag.
Well, hopefully, you know, one of the tougher guys to strike out, so hopefully he can get a hold of one of these pitches and center it and hit a line drive. He is 2 for 2 with a walk and a run scored today.
Wouldn't a grand slam be nice right now? Yadier Molina, first pitch to him. Ground ball hit to short and a double play. 6-4-3 on the double play. We're tied up. It's 4-4. Hey, Cardinal fans, when it comes to tickets, you deserve Major League service, so go online to StubHub. It's the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the St. Louis Cardinals, and the only site with Fan Protect guarantee. Kyle McClellan, his second inning of work. We're tied up at 4-4. Cardinals miss a golden opportunity there.
Good breaking ball there.
And an 0-2 in the dirt. That's one thing we saw from Kyle McClellan last year. Outstanding breaking ball.
And sometimes, you know, I really love his curveball. And sometimes it seemed like he'd fall in love with the slider or the cutter to left-handers and do them a favor.
There's the fastball at 90. 2-2. This is Daniel Murphy. So 2, 3, and 4 in the lineup for the Mets in a 4-4 game. And Murphy, a high fly ball out to right. I would imagine one of the things the Cardinals will look at with McClellan this year is overusage. You know, you go back to late August, September, he may have been used just a bit too much in his first year. Maybe not, but
was that a necessity?
It was.
And it wasn't so much late in the season. It was just at times he got into a rut where, you know, he had to pitch numerous days. The innings would add up and his arm would be a little tender.
David Wright, the hitter, a couple of base hits.
And those are the only times where he really had a problem, was when he was overused.
When he was fresh, though, he was terrific.
Right, tied for the league lead in holds last year.
Right up the middle, but Brendan Ryan is there. Good play. They had him positioned perfectly for that ground ball.
I've seen Brendan make some nice plays there at second base.
Very good range.
And you see where he's positioned, right back over the mound, about 3 steps to his right. Hit hard, makes a nice stop, and throws him out.
Even where he was at, that's a play that a lot of second basemen are backhanding instead of trying to get in front.
Get in front of it. It's a good point. A lot easier if you can get in front, and he has the speed to do so.
And it brings in Delgado. Be careful here with 2 outs, nobody on. Do you call it IMOs or emos, Al?
Emos.
Emos.
What do you call it?
Well, in my childhood, I called it good pizza. And in my later years, I call it great pizza, Al. Either way, I'm emos, imos. Either way, it's good stuff, and you know what?
It's a St. Louis square, isn't it?
Beyond compare. Wherever our sales team is, get this. Chop it up and let's go. But tomorrow, it all benefits the Variety Club.
Well, you change the eye level and you get that good fastball up there, and you'll swing through it a lot.
1-2 on Delgado. Boy, did he have some great years in Toronto. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Good work by Kyle McClellan. Gets a strikeout. Time to stretch in a 4-4 game. A 4-4 game here in the bottom of the 7th in St. Louis at Busch Stadium. Let's go pitch by pitch on Carlos Delgado.
Starts mound with pitch away, gets strike 1 ahead in the count, then a good breaking ball, evens the count 1-1. Fastball up in the zone, he swings through it, and he finishes off with a good breaking ball. It's like the slider grip, or is it the curveball? So kind of in between there a little bit, but very effective down and a good swing. His second strikeout is, we'll see in that slow-mo cam, is Pedro Feliciano, appearing for the 9th time already.
So 9th appearance, and we've already seen the other lefty out of the bullpen, Casey Fossum. So they have 2 lefties they carry. And this is to face Duncan and then Green and Thurston.
But boy, they got a couple weapons, a couple closers for the 8th and 9th inning, don't they?
They sure do. J.J. Putz and then
Oh, another guy is pretty good.
Yeah, a guy that set a record. K-Rod. Francisco Rodriguez. We're in the 7th. And Duncan fights it off and lines it over the Mets dugout into the seats. 1 ball, 1 strike. Duncan tonight with a base hit, and twice he has lined out to the third baseman David Wright.
Feliciano last year led the league in appearances with 86.
'86 appearances.
86 appearances, was 3-4, ERA at 4.05, 2 saves in his 86 appearances and 53 in the 3rd innings.
A little bit low, but taken for a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Four game here in the bottom of the 7th. And Duncan, a swing and a miss. He strikes out. The shift was on for him. All for naught. Strikeout, and it brings in Khalil Green. Fox Saturday Baseball features the Cubs and Cardinals this weekend here at Busch Stadium.
You were wondering. Now you know.
I was. Now I saw the graphic. Now I wonder no more.
I guess you forgot we weren't working.
I knew that. I know those days. Here's Khalil Green. And an off-speed pitch at 70 miles an hour in there for a strike.
Guess you forgot you were babysitting.
I know all about that too. Khalil Green, the Cardinals shortstop, 0 for 1 with a couple of walks.
Denny's Reyes warming up. Whether we get down to McClellan's spot in the order or not, wouldn't hurt to extend him if they don't get there.
Then you would go with 3 innings, and remember, McClellan basically kind of piggybacked Carpenter in spring training, and they called that off once they felt Carpenter was healthy towards the end of spring. Couple of weeks left. Here's a 2-1 pitch to Green.
I talked to Tony about Carpenter today and said things have gotten a little bit better, but you know, it's really too early to tell, as you really don't want to test that rib cage muscle at all right now. You just let it rest and heal and get some therapy, but no real baseball activities.
Ooh, just missed on the outside corner. 3-2. That's a real tough injury to even test, because you can't get him in any kind of activity because you're trying to let that heal.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really even, you know, keep your arm exercised. Like if you got a leg injury, you can sit in a chair and play catch.
And that's outside. So good batting eye tonight for Khalil Green. Firestone leaderboard that you see at the top of your screen. Feliciano, the 1-out walk, and it brings in Thurston. Career home runs by a switch hitter, and we'll see, of course, Chipper Jones, who's moving up on that list. We'll see him next week. What a great hitter Chipper Jones is. We'll see the Atlanta Braves next week in our next road trip.
Yeah, and I'm sure Delgado's down that. Excuse me, I'm thinking something else, but you know, Chipper Jones, when I first saw him, he was a shortstop playing an A-ball, playing at Savannah in the Sally League.
You know what, though? The thing about Chipper Jones, there are certain guys in this era, the steroid era, their bodies really haven't changed. And I don't know if you agree with me, but to me, you know, Chipper Jones, through the course of life, has gotten a little bit bigger, because you first saw him when he was 18 years old.
Right.
And, you know, now he's, I guess, what, mid-30s or so? Just signed an extension.
You've never heard his name
never
referenced in
Ken
any way?
Griffey Jr. Never heard them affiliated with steroid usage. But Chipper Jones is just a great baseball player. He's played the outfield, he's played short, he's played third, and the entire time, can you imagine playing under one manager? Bobby Cox. That's it.
I know Bobby's thankful.
I can see why. Chipper Jones won the batting title a year ago. Beat out Albert Pujols. 1 ball, 1 strike on Thurston. Outfield is shallow for Joe. Maybe too shallow. 2 strikes on him now. Joe has done a really nice job for the Cardinals so far. They've used him at second, short, third, primarily at third. Again, David Freese was sent down to make room for Blaine Boyer.
That'll be doing David a favor.
Needs some playing time.
Right. He wasn't doing any good sitting up here, and Thurston and Barden, it kind of stole the show at third base.
1-2 pitch. Thurston lines it foul.
Pretty good test for these left-handers facing Feliciano in his slow breaking pitches.
Tell those guys, keep your front shoulder in, try to hang in there.
You really almost got to wait, trust your hands that they'll get to the point of attack, and really think about hitting the ball to the opposite field.
We had a nice visit with Joe prior to the game the other day at Wrigley Field. His first taste of the Cardinals and the Cubs. You can see where Feliciano would be very tough on these lefties, especially for a good example of it is on that last pitch where he drops down and it's almost coming right at you if you're a lefty.
Looks like you're releasing it behind your back, and then it crossfires all the way to the opposite side of the plate. You know, that pitch out there you take to left, if he hangs one inside, you can turn on it.
2-2. Slowly hit back to Feliciano. Goes to second and gets the lead runner. No hesitation that time from Pedro Feliciano. And this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals.
You've got a short bench. There's only 4 men on your bench. You've already used Barden, and so Tony's going to use Adam Wainwright.
So still left on the bench, Schumacher, Rasmus, and LaRue. So 3 position players out of the 4 still left. Wainwright will be called upon here with 2 outs, and up there Hackett.
Well, we've seen Adam pinch it and do a good job in that department. But you know, you 4-4 tie going into late innings. You see he's 3 for 8.
How concerned do you think Tony La Russa gets after watching Chris Carpenter hit and realizing that he hurt his side hitting, and you know you need Wainwright? Not to say that he's going to get hurt in this situation, but you know, at any point in time you throw one of these guys out there, you never know.
Well, you don't, but walking across the street, you don't know either. So it's a bit of a risk. But you know, an exceptional athlete is Wainwright. You just hope he's, you know, can handle it.
Out in front.
That's where you worry. Is, you know,
that's what I'm talking about there.
Stretched out on a swing like that, where he's off balance and reaching.
0-2.
Reach out like that, and then you know, swing, and that's usually when you pull a muscle.
So 2 outs and a runner at first, and Wainwright strikes out. A couple of off-speed pitches, and we head to the 8th. 4-4 game. A look at our Infinity game summary. Carlos Beltran and the Mets got things going early on. Mets with 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 2 in the fourth. Jumped out to a 4-0 lead. Pujols would cut that in half to 4-2. Then the walks would catch up. Cardinals then would tie it up 4-4, and that's where we stand now in the top of the 8th. And Denny's Reyes, Al, a lefty, will take over for the Cardinals.
On Denny Reyes, he got tagged with the loss where he got extended a little bit in the game on Saturday. But more times than not, the Cardinals are going to be very pleased with his performance. turn around Beltran and hit from the right side.
And Beltran, a couple of hits tonight. And he'll look at a ball a little bit upstairs. RBI double in the first, and he singled in the fifth. He's also flied out to center. Glad you're with us. Dan and Al with you. Fox Sports Midwest crew. Mike Helling, Tom Mee, Brian McCann, our entire crew here with you. And that's a pitch. That's down and in. 2 balls, no strikes. Look at the numbers now for Dennis Reyes. He is 0-1 with an ERA just over 4. Beltran takes a ball a little high. 3-0. Last thing you want to do here, late innings, tie ball game, is walk a man. But I think Tony would be the first one to tell you he likes what he's got from the left side of the bullpen. That's a strike. 3-1.
If you get the 6-7 innings from your starter, then you mix and match your situational left-handers. You've got some power pitching at the end. Everything falls into place.
Cardinals will have the top of their lineup coming up in the 8th inning. They batted around back in the 5th. And that's when St. Louis picked up their 4 runs. Beltran 2 for 3, as we mentioned, and hitting .354. Two strikes now, 3-2.
Jason Mott is warming up in the pin, so we'll see if Reyes' responsibility is Beltran and then Ryan Church.
Still on that bench right now is Gary Sheffield. For Jerry Manuel. 3-2 pitch. And it's to the backstop. And back to Molina. Nowhere close in ball 4.
You mentioned it, Dan. Worst thing you could do late in the ball game when it's tied or extra innings is walk that leadoff man.
It's amazing. You know, Lou Piniella talked to us at Wrigley Field. Wrigley Field is unlike any other place in the country. When you play a baseball game, we said to him, what's the one thing you have to do at this ballpark to win? He said, you can't walk anybody. He said, and then afterwards, after the interview, he said, you know, the reality is no matter what ballpark you play in, but in particular this one, you can't walk anybody. But the same goes if you're playing at Busch Stadium or the old Shea Stadium or Citi Field. You just can't walk anybody.
You know, if I would look back and say, what would you like to do over? It was cut down walks.
In your career?
Yeah.
How many of those came around to score or gave you fits?
Well, just obviously the ones that didn't, you know, you were pitching under pressure and, you know, you just didn't have easy innings. But you walk that leadoff man, you know, you're just asking for trouble. Get the first guy out and you can pitch around. You know, walk here or even a.
Reyes will go to first. And the runner's in scoring position here now. A sacrifice from Ryan Church. And just like that, the Mets have a runner in scoring position. Again, it's worth noting this season, hitting .236 coming into play tonight with runners in scoring position. But that's ideal of what you want to do here. You get the leadoff walk and then sacrifice.
Antonio is going to go to the bullpen and bring in Mott.
So that'll be it for Dennis Reyes. The walk, the sacrifice, Mott coming in. Baseball tonight on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Thanks you for being a designated driver. By Bank of America. Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. And by Chevy. See your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at STLchevy.com. Wow. That is scary right there. And here is Mott.
Got mine from the post office. Where did they get your picture?
I have no idea. I don't want to know. Here's a fly ball on the first pitch. Good job by Mott. That's out number 2. Runner will tag up from second to third. And the throw may get away. It will. Thurston tried to apply the tag to the plate and out. They got him. He didn't slide. He's out at the plate. You got to be kidding me. How does he not slide in that situation? What is he doing? You got to slide.
He ran into an out. Thurston spins and throws, and Molina tags him out. Blocked the plate.
He stepped on his foot.
Never touched the plate.
What a crazy play to end the top of the 8th. Thurston trying to apply the tag on a strong throw here from Ryan Ludwig in right, Al.
He wasn't fooled at all. Beltran tried to deke him, and then a snap tag by Thurston. The ball gets away, but look, he scrambled after it, and Molina put his left foot out there and blocked it. Beltran tags up here. He sees that the ball gets away towards the infield. Nobody there. He races home. And watch Molina's left foot right there, sealed off the plate. He stepped on the foot. He does not step on home plate.
What a great call, by the way, from Tim McClellan.
So a double play, and he was even delayed in that call, too.
Well, I'll tell you what, he can be delayed all he wants.
Oh, no.
We'll take it.
No.
I was waiting for the call, Al. I knew he was going to stand up, give the call out. I'll tell you what, that is a tremendous play. All sides around for the Cardinals.
That's usually going to be a momentum shifter, but now they've got the work cut out. You know,
this guy's tough.
Thurston tried to make the snap tag, and then he hustled after that and fired a strike off balance, spinning, throwing, and it paid off.
Again, Tim McClellan was on that call of what seemed to be a routine run scored. Again, you know, I mean, you look at that, you think the ball gets away. There's no chance they have him at home plate, and they do. Now a line shot. Oh, it gets over the left fielder. Ryan to second. Brendan Ryan on his way to third. He's in there safely. The go-ahead run is at third for the Cardinals.
That's the second time tonight that Daniel Murphy slipped and loses his balance. This time extremely costly, with a leadoff triple. Can't get a better Hardy's prime cut right there against Putz. Former closer Seattle, just a first pitch, a line drive out there. He slips and he can't recover as the ball gets over his head. And Brendan Ryan, with that good speed, races to third with a leadoff triple.
Nearly a great recovery out left.
Boy, you got to feel helpless, don't you? You're reaching up, you sit there and you feel like, man, I just lost a line drive that would have hit me right in the chest, and I play it into a triple.
Now the infield is in for the Mets. And Keel hits it down the right field line. Fair ball. Off the wall it goes. Ryan scores. And Keel to second. And the Cardinals have their first lead of the night, 5-4.
Only the third RBI of the young season for Ankiel, but it's also his third hit. 3 straight hits of Ankiel. And he gets an off-speed pitch, a breaking ball hanging up in the zone. He hits it down into the right field corner. But what a momentum shifter right here. The final play, a double play, as Beltran, trying to steal a run, does not step on the plate, and they complete the double play, turns the momentum into the Cardinal dugout, and they come out charging.
So here's Pujols. You know they're not going to pitch to him. Why would they with first base open? You know, going back to the play by Molina, he's anticipating a slide or a collision. That is not an easy play for a catcher because it's coming from your blind side, essentially. You have no idea what's about to hit you at the plate.
You don't know what kind of throw you're getting. Remember, Thurston hustling on that, reached down barehanded, spun and throw. You don't know if it's going to sail, what it's going to do, but he was backpedaling in perfect position to seal off the plate.
Will they pitch to Pujols here? And the first pitch is a strike. Again, you have first base open.
Well, the intent is that you're going to have Albert expand his zone and try and get himself out.
Here's the deal, Al. If I was the opposing manager, I think I would probably walk Pujols in all the games they do at least 350 times. Okay,
and I think
maybe 400.
I think Jerry Manuel's sitting here going, I respect Ludwig and Molina behind him, to where I don't want to put another run on base.
I just don't pitch to Albert Pujols. I don't care what the situation. I'm up 10-1. I walk him. Go ahead.
I told you how I'd pitch to him.
I have the ultimate respect for Pujols. You'd hit him.
I'd hit him.
And Pujols slices one into right. Runner will tag up, so this will be a productive out, possibly. Throw into third. Strong throw, and Rick Ankiel is in safely. There's a strong throw in there from right.
Well, Albert did expand the zone. Putz does retire him, but it puts Ankiel at third base with only one out. You see, nobody else on the base, so you can load up and try and get it there any way you can, and you have that high arc because nobody else can advance.
And again, I just can't get over that play to end the top of the 8th. Remarkable that Beltran didn't slide and make an effort to avoid the tag. I guess he just took it for granted.
I think he did. Now Ludwig reached base on an interference, but it could be his last shot at extending his hitting streak to 22 games. Infield in, that'll help create a lot more holes the way he hits the ball hard.
First pitch was in the dirt. You see the outfield is pretty deep now for Ludwig. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Ludwig with a fly ball out to left. Ankiel will tag up. Here it comes. Throw to the plate is offline. Cardinals have a 2-run lead.
16th RBI for Ludwig. He ties with Albert in that department. And the Cardinals have a 2-run lead with Franklin warming up for the 9th.
Castillo is due up first for the Mets in the 9th.
So right here as he tags up, and you'll be able to see the catch being made.
Look at this job of the camera work by Tony West. Came from Forest Park to make it just in time for that.
What was he doing at Forest Park?
Oh, remember we had that shot earlier
from
T. West? 6 is a serious number, as we told you earlier. The Cardinals, when they score 6 runs like tonight, get a 20-ounce coffee, fountain, or frozen drink for only a quarter. The next day on the run at Mobile. Got your quarter ready. So Franklin getting loose. That's Marty Mason, the bullpen coach, talking to Ryan Franklin. One of the things that Marty will do is that they will go over who's coming up and the potential of who might be a pinch hitter. Or for some of the younger guys, try to settle them down. It's fouled straight back by Molina.
Went after a pitch up in his eyes, but we give so much credit to Dave Duncan, and rightfully so, but Marty Mason has done a phenomenal job over the years with the bullpenners.
Rivalry week. We started our telecast talking about the Mets and the Cardinals, and coming up this weekend here at Busch Stadium, Pujols and the Cardinals saying hello to the Cubs. And so far in the first game, it's been a good one. Always fun to come to the ballpark and see teams that I think have a genuine dislike for each other. I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, at least if you ask the fans, they would say, the Mets, are you kidding me? Yeah, forget those guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with the Mets, but isn't it interesting that it looks like a battle of the bullpens?
The 2-2. Base hit. Let me ask you this, Al. Here's a guy, J.J. Putz, that obviously has been very good in his career. What's it mean at this point when you have to go to Citi Field a couple of times? You're going to see them 2 more times here in St. Louis to get to them a little bit early on.
Oh, I think there's no doubt. It's just, the first time we see a guy that, was recognized as one of the better closers in the American League, the setup man right now for the Mets, and you jump on it. But I was going to make the point that you looked at these 2 bullpens. The Mets bullpen, outstanding, and the Cardinals trying to find themselves in this battle with the pins tonight. The Cardinals are apparently going to be in position to pull one out.
The bullpen ERA coming into this game tonight for the Mets 1.89 first.
That's what I'm saying.
And the Cardinals at 4.98 10th. The starters a little different story, but certainly the bullpen's a different story in this ball game. Duncan holds up.
And it's one thing you think, you know, if you're going to score against the Mets bullpen, you're going to do it against their middle relief. And here they're doing it against one of their co-closers.
If you're Jerry Manuel, you are so frustrated right now because your starters are 10th best in ERA, and your starter tonight, Perez, was given a 4-run lead, and it was walks that cost him tonight.
5 walks.
Duncan popped up on the infield. Reyes has it. We head to the 9th. Ryan Franklin coming in. Entertaining ball game. 6-4 in favor of the Cardinals. Well, the Blues right down the street heading into overtime, and we've got a good ball game here. 6-4 in favor of St. Louis. Our Budweiser great player of the game. We're going to give it to Yadier Molina. 3 for 4 with a double, a run scored. But don't forget about what Yadi does defensively. Wham! Right to first. Picks off a runner, and this play, the play of the game, undoubtedly, Al. Takes a run away, the go-ahead run at that time.
Leads a double play. Here you see what he's doing offensively, as that was his last at bat. He's got 3 hits and a walk and run scored tonight.
And look who is moved to the on-deck circle. That looks like Gary Sheffield to me. And this is Ryan Franklin. Right now will probably be the Cardinals closer. Again, no one has been named the Cardinals closer. He's 2 for 2 in this opportunity. And Ryan has done a very nice job in this spot. Cardinals lead it by 2. 1 ball, 1 strike. This is Castillo, so Thurston is in on the grass over at third. He popped one right past him last time up. That's strike 2 on a swing and a miss. 1-2 the count.
Franklin led the Cardinal relievers in saves, wins, innings, appearances last season.
One-two pitch, and he got him. Swing and a miss. He was fooled by that pitch, and the first out recorded here in the 9th.
Swing like that, it makes you think it's a splitter.
Al, he's got about 32 different pitches, so you don't know what's coming.
And that's it. And I mean, when he gets a couple strikes on you, you're not sure what. So key to get that first man, because with a 2-run lead, if Sheffield, who hit number 500 over the weekend in a pinch hitting appearance, he can't tie it with another home run.
Gary Sheffield said he had 72 messages waiting for him after he picked up home run number 500.
You know what? I can talk to him briefly today, congratulating him. You know, he's kind of a misunderstood guy, but he's a good guy. Look at those RBIs. He hit his first home run as a teenager, his last one as a 40-year-old.
And that first one as a teenager as a shortstop.
Right. He was in his prime. Boy, he had one of the quickest bats in the game. Turn on an inside pitch.
How about now, though? I mean, he gets it going a little bit quicker, but still, his bat, if he connects, the ball just jumps off his bat.
Very lively the way he swings. You know, he
just starts a little bit earlier.
Was released by Detroit, and the Mets pick him up for the minimum.
Like that, but positioned perfectly. Brandon Ryan, try number 2. That's got to frustrate you. If you're Gary Sheffield, you hit a ball up the middle right on the button, but positioned perfectly is Brendan Ryan. U.S. Cellular, Cardinals Live coming up. Ankiel's swing returns. 2-out trouble for Todd Wellemeyer. And, of course, Tony La Russa live in his press conference.
As a hitter, you think you get it past the pitcher, and you got a base hit. And Brendan Ryan was playing right there.
There's a breaking ball taken a little bit low. May have fooled Tim McClellan as he stood up and called a ball. Slowly hit. Thurston there to first. Wide throw. Pujols is on the bag. Somehow he stayed on first, and the Cardinals win it by the score of 6-4.
Good ball game. Good relief pitching for the Cardinals.
And a 1-2-3 ninth inning for Ryan Franklin. Wide throw, but Pujols is there.
The game is over with a comeback victory for the Cardinals. We're just getting started, though, on U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live. Rick Horton will join me. We'll talk about this rematch of two National League Championship Series this decade. Hopefully it goes more like 06 than it did 2000. Plus, Todd Willemeyer looking to get back on the winning track. What about the Tedalians' effort? And we'll take you inside the Cardinal clubhouse for player reaction. Bring you Tony La Russa's post-game comments. And look at the Cardinals' remade bullpen as well. Happy birthday, Queen Elizabeth II. U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live is fit for royalty, and it's coming up next on Fox Sports Midwest.